Welcome home to the Kosov Apartments. Kosov is located in the heart of North Campus, only a short walk away from the Marshall Student Center and Castor Beach. Kosov is an apartment-style residence hall where students live in a unit with a shared living room, kitchen, and 2 bathrooms. There are several different unit styles to choose from in Kosov Apartments, with a mix of single and double bedrooms in 2 to 5 person apartments. Each room comes furnished with a bed, desk, chair, dresser, and a closet space. Living areas are also fully furnished, with varied floor plans throughout the hall. Every apartment unit features a full kitchen with a refrigerator, oven, stovetop, and sink, with plenty of room to whip up your favorite meals. When you don't feel like cooking, the Argos Exchange Dining Hall is right next door, where you can use a meal swipe to get an entree and a fountain drink from different rotating restaurant options. Or try the Bulls Express convenience store if you want to grab something on the go. When it's time to do your laundry, just bring quarters or use your USF ID to pay with Bullbucks in the facility on the first floor. You can also visit the Housing Service Desk at Hall EM, where you can go if you have any issues with your keys. You'll also find a printer here that all students can access. Have some downtime, enjoy the beautiful Florida weather, and head outside for a walk or jog around our beautiful campus. To learn more about our housing options, visit usf.edu/housing. Get ready to live the Bulls life.
Coming to you from the beautiful University of South Florida campus in Tampa, it's USF Housing Live!
Welcome everyone, this is USF Housing Live. I'm your host, Julia O'Hara with Housing and Residential Education at the beautiful University of South Florida in Tampa. Housing and Residential Education is here to answer your questions as you prepare for college. If you're joining us live, type your questions in the comments and we will answer you in real time. In tonight's episode, we'll be speaking with team members from New Student Connections about resources for new students on campus. And later in the show, we'll be speaking with our very own Dave Kloiber about room selection and what spaces are available now on campus. But before we get started, we have a few announcements to share with you. The room self-selection process remains available until June 30th. The room selection self-service tool can be accessed through the housing portal linked on our website at usf.edu/housing. And stay with us until later in the broadcast for when we speak with Dave Kloiber from Housing about current availability on campus. And Living Learning Communities applications close on June 15th, so be sure to submit your applications soon. More information can be found at usf.edu/LLC. Also, a huge shout out to the USF baseball team for their historic win on Monday, placing them in an NCAA Super Regional for the first time in the program's history. And best of luck to the team this weekend as they play the University of Texas. So now let's get started with welcoming our first guest this evening. Jennifer Lowe and Rick Garcia are both student program coordinators for New Student Connections at USF. Hi Jen and hi Rick, how are you doing?
Doing well, excited to be here. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here tonight. Let's get started by having you tell us about your roles in New Student Connections and the mission of the department.
Yeah, so I'll get started for us. So my name is Jen Lowe, and like Julia said, I'm one of the 2 coordinators in New Student Connections. And so Rick and I share very similar roles, but what we primarily do is supervise a team of peer advisor leaders, also known as PALs, and train them to be the bridge to a variety of resources on campus and help students reach their goals. In addition to that, we oversee outreach and peer coaching, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and just help students get connected through the PALs. And then Rick and I also do a lot of work in planning and implementing the various programs and events that New Student Connections puts on. And then I'll let Rick go ahead and introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rick Garcia. Like Jen said, I'm also a coordinator in New Student Connections. And I'll tell you a little bit about the mission of New Student Connections. And we really are about helping folks in their transition to USF. And in order to transition into and through their USF experience, New Student Connections and parent and family engagement cultivate community, foster a sense of belonging, and provide some individualized support so that each person really feels cared for, like they matter, so that they see possibility and hope, and so that they have access to knowledge and resources here at USF.
Awesome. Thank you both. So let's get started with talking about peer coaching. What is that? Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Of course. So peer coaching is our program put on by our peer advisor leaders, also known as PALs. And it really is an opportunity for USF students to receive, like I said, individualized outreach and support from a fellow student in order to ensure that they have a smooth overall transition. And the PALs implement this by connecting students to resources on campus, answering their questions, and also helping them set goals and develop action plans to achieve those goals. It's helpful for students who might need that one-on-one support during their transition, especially if they know that larger events aren't really for them.
Absolutely. What a great resource. And what are those benefits? In addition to that, what are some more benefits of engaging with New Student Connections?
Yeah, that's a great question. So like Rick kind of said with our mission, we also just want to help students make the campus feel a lot smaller and more manageable because there's lots of things that USF has to offer. So our biggest thing is that we hope that students will feel welcomed and are able to get their first taste of campus traditions and celebrations when they engage with New Student Connections. But the bottom line is we want to help students get connected to everything that USF has because there really are so many different opportunities and resources and support systems at USF. So we really like to view ourselves as a great starting point for any student when they're getting started here.
For sure. And, you know, getting started in a large university can sometimes be hard for some students getting connected. So what are some ways that New Student Connections helps with students who might be having a hard time getting connected on campus?
Yes, like Jen said, we really are a great starting point for any student. And in particular to those that seem to be having a hard time getting connected on campus, PALs really are like the resource to take advantage of from New Student Connections. They really are instrumental, in listening to what a student needs and then guiding them to find what's going to work best for them. Sometimes a student just needs that listening ear to give them that confidence boost to explore some long-term engagement opportunities on campus. And that's exactly the niche that PALs live in. We're definitely not the magic fix, but we can definitely help a student feel welcomed and help them start to create goals for getting connected to campus via that one-on-one PAL peer coaching. And in addition to that, a lot of our events are really helpful for getting that jump start and finding your people at USF.
Perfect. Glad you brought that up, Rick, because my next question is about events. You know, that one-on-one connection is super important through the peer advisor leaders, but the events, we're so excited to be being able to get back into the swing of things here on campus and having some in-person events and programs. So can you tell us what we can look forward to this year coming out of New Student Connections?
Yeah, we are also equally excited to start to bring back some in-person opportunities on campus. And so that will all kick off with Week of Welcome, so also known as WOW. So WOW happens every semester, so starting with Summer B, and then even at the beginning of the fall and the beginning of the spring semesters, we have what we like to call Week of Welcome, which is a week-long celebration to get students excited about the beginning of each semester, but also to let them know that there are a lot of really great opportunities and resources and help on campus. So just a mini preview of some of the different events going on just this summer even is we're going to have a WOW kickoff barbecue where it's an opportunity just to meet other folks and get that first celebration in the books in person on campus. And then we will also have different things like Get Ready for Classes, which is an opportunity for students to explore their different classroom buildings that will be physically on campus and have a PAL help guide them to find those different buildings. And then on the first 2 days of classes, we have an event called Got Questions, and it's going to be mobile Got Questions where we'll be driving around some of the key areas on campus and be stationed at some tables around campus to help students find their way, because we know that it might have been a little bit since someone has been on campus, or the first 2 days of class might be the first time that someone is stepping foot on campus. So we really just want to get everyone excited and make them feel confident about getting started with this new semester. And we'll have similar events like that starting in the fall. And throughout all of that, we will also be continuing some of our virtual events too, because we do know that some people will still be virtual this summer and in the fall. And so we have something called our hashtag HowToCollege virtual chats, which is an opportunity for students to ask questions to some of our different content experts around campus, whether it be around time management and creating a study plan. We'll bring in folks from the Academic Success Center, or we'll bring in folks who are experts in student organizations and help answer questions about how to get involved with those. And so we really do offer a wide range of those How to College virtual chats to be able to ask some really good questions to get started virtually. And then we will also have a more generalized event called Meet the Pals, where it really is just an opportunity to meet the pals both virtually and in person, wherever a student might be most comfortable. So really just trying to cover all the different bases and get students excited to start a new year.
So it doesn't sound like you or Rick are going to be busy at all coming up in the fall. No.
Not at all. We have plenty of time.
Wow, that's amazing. I had no idea that you all were planning so much. That's so exciting. And I love that you're doing virtual and in person, because that is such a good point that some people planned to do virtual, either summer or fall, and being able to meet them there is a great idea. You know, we've learned a lot over the past year and a half by doing all of these virtual events and staying engaged. So to being able to carry that forward is exciting. And then really quick, a follow-up for you, Jen, before I get to the next question. You just named a lot of events. So where if someone's watching and wants a list, a calendar view, where can they find that?
Yeah, so our website is a really good place to go in addition to our social media. And there's also something called the Go Bulls Guide app that has the full schedule of events, and that is updated regularly. So it will be updated for Summer Week of Welcome and for Fall Week of Welcome. And so there's quite a few different places where someone would be able to find all of those different pieces.
Perfect. And Rick, the question I have for you next is, what is the best way for a first-year student to get involved on campus?
Yes, definitely. And I know that as a first-year student, that can oftentimes feel intimidating or nerve-wracking, you know, putting yourself out there and sifting through the many opportunities that exist at USF. And I'm going to take this opportunity to further plug what Jen mentioned, being the Go Bulls Guides app. On there, you can access the USF Student and Family Guide that our office puts together. And that really is a fantastic resource for students to explore a variety of options that may fit their interests, whether that be student organizations, undergraduate research, USF traditions, that calendar of events, and so much more, as well as they're able to access information about campus resources and different offices on campus. So there really is a wealth of information on there, a one-stop shop, if you will. And in addition to that, ask questions, put yourself out there, take advantage of folks like the peer advisor leaders that are eager and ready to help you, as well as some of the other student leaders through the Center for Student Involvement, the Center for Leadership and Civic Engagement. There's many, many individuals on campus that are ready and willing to help students, you know, find answers to their questions, explore opportunities, explore their interests. They just have to ask.
Perfect. Great advice. And Jen, if a student or family member watching tonight has a question for your department, who should they contact?
Yeah, we definitely covered a lot of information, so I know that it could be a lot to digest. So I will always say that our website is a good place to start. So usf.edu/new student is a really great resource that does give a really solid overview of all of the different things that Rick and I both talked about tonight. And it also has information on how to contact us directly, and also different forms on there to request potentially an outreach from a peer advisor leader. And then we also have different contact opportunities for family members too, through our parent and family engagement website at usf.edu/families, which again has a lot of really great information that we just talked about, but then it also has some forms on there that give you access to contacting someone from our team if you have questions, whether you are a student or a family member. And then in addition to that, our Instagram is monitored pretty regularly, but also we provide a lot of really great information on there too about how to follow up with us, but with also a lot of updates with all of the different events and everything. So if you want to follow us on Instagram at USF_NSC, we will be able to keep you updated with everything that we have to offer and offer opportunities both on campus and virtually, and kind of everything in between on there. So those are kind of the best ways to keep connected with us.
Perfect. And thank you so much to both of you for all you do for the new students and the families on campus at USF. And thank you for taking the time tonight to chat with us and provide some information about your department.
Yeah, thank you.
Happy to.
All right, well, have a great night. And for those of you watching, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more USF Housing Live right after this.
Welcome home to Castor Hall. Castor Hall is located in the heart of North Campus and is only steps away from the Marshall Student Center, the Argos Exchange Dining Hall, and Castor Beach. Here, you can live the Bulls life in an environment best suited to helping you connect with others. Castor Hall is a traditional style residence hall. That means you share a room with your roommate and a bathroom with your floor mates. Each room is located near a community bathroom that is cleaned daily. Every room already comes furnished with a bed, desk, chair, and dresser. This style of campus living lets you embrace the roommate experience and support one another as you enjoy everything USF has to offer. Check out the several kitchens and kitchenettes where you can cook your favorite meals. If you don't feel like cooking, make your way to one of the campus dining locations nearby. Argos Exchange is right next door, where you can use a meal swipe to get an entree and a fountain drink from different rotating restaurant options. Or try the Bulls Express convenience store if you want to grab something on the go. Bring a friend and try some of these dining options that cater to all dietary needs. When it's time to do your laundry, just bring quarters or use your USF ID to pay with Bullbucks in the facility on the first floor. Have some downtime? Grab your sunscreen and take a walk or jog around our beautiful campus. To learn more about our housing options, visit usf.edu/housing. Get ready to live the Bulls life.
Welcome back. I'm Julia O'Hara, and if you're just now joining us, this is USF Housing Live, and we're here to help prepare you to live the Bulls life at USF. Ask us your questions in the comments, and we will answer live on the show. Our second guest this evening is the Associate Director for Operations and Outreach with USF Housing and Residential Education, Dave Kloiber. Hi, Dave. How are you?
Hi, it's great to be back.
It's great to have you, as always. We have some questions for you all about room selection and availability because we are in the thick of it right now. So we have lots of questions about what is currently available to select on campus. So do you want to give a quick overview about what's available and what is soon to come?
Sure. So right now what is available is essentially rooms, traditional double rooms in the village. So Horizon, Pinnacle, Summit, Beacon, and Endeavor. Now we have about 40 to 50 room or beds, I should say, available at this point. Now, that's what sounds like bad news, but the good news is that on Friday, we are poised to release a number of additional rooms. We've received some rooms back from our campus partners, and so we will be releasing some double room suites in the village. Also in Poplar, we're going to be releasing some double suites. In addition, we have a number of rooms that we had on hold for ADA purposes, and we've passed the June 1st priority deadline for requesting an ADA or medical accommodation. And so we'll have some apartments we're going to release, both double room and single room apartments, also some additional suites. And let me see, I might even have some super singles in Maple Hall that I can release.
Uh-oh.
And maybe actually I'll have to look, but maybe some traditional singles in the village. So we've got some options that are coming out, and we'll be emailing all of our active applicants probably tomorrow morning with more information on what we're releasing and when we're releasing it. And the release time and date is Friday. That would be, the 11th, I believe.
Yes.
And Friday the 11th at 4 p.m. Eastern time.
Perfect.
That should give all of our students who are our incoming students who may still be in high school up north the ability to select a room without having to skip class. And that's our goal.
Right.
Keep them in class.
So I asked this to you earlier, Dave, because I wasn't sure, but if you have already selected a room, if you currently have your space, will you get that email alerting you that more spaces are available?
Yes, we will email almost 6,000 active applicants that we have right now, whether they're assigned, ready to assign, or they still are missing something. We're gonna email all of them with that information, because some people may have already selected a room, but maybe it wasn't exactly the room they wanted. And so now they have an opportunity to maybe change their assignment, and so they can use the room change button in the assign menu of the housing portal. Don't go to the room change in the requests area. That's for during the term. You want to use the one under the assign button, and then you'll be able to actually search the inventory, even though you already have a room, and you'll be able to see what's available. You do not give up your current room until after you click submit on that room change. And so the current room you're in right now is your room until you click submit after selecting another room.
So you can browse and look at what's available without the chance of someone swiping your room from you while doing that. So that's a great feature as well. So now is the time, if you're watching and have not submitted your housing application yet and you do want to live on campus, this is a really good time to get all of those items done so that you can be a part of the group that can go and see these new rooms that become available, because they may go pretty quick, especially the ones that a lot of students are waiting for. So while we talk about that, Dave, can you go over the steps that you need to complete in order to participate in room selection?
Sure. Obviously, the step number one is you need to apply. You need to tell us you want housing. And within one business day after you apply for housing, your account will be assessed a $50 application fee, which you are expected to make payment for before you can select a room. In addition, you also need to ensure that you have your immunizations submitted to the Student Health Services office and that they've been approved. And we're looking for 2 immunizations, meningitis or hepatitis B. Now, you don't actually have to have the vaccine, but what you have to do is at least acknowledge that there is one out there. Now, we encourage all of our students, get your vaccine or your immunization for hepatitis B and meningitis, because it's only going to protect you. But if you don't have proof right now, but you still want to select a room, you can go into the Oasis, go under your health records and actually elect to decline the meningitis vaccine and the hepatitis B vaccine. And in addition, if you're an international student, you'll also be asked to have a tuberculosis screening. Now, all of our international students should have a waiver for that screening right now so they can participate in room selection. However, by the time they arrive at campus, they should have submitted their proof of screening.
Great. So then immunizations, the step after that, so we talked about apply, pay your $50 application fee, immunizations, and then the last step is to register for orientation.
Right. You don't have to attend it, but you do have to register. Mm-hmm. And so once those 4 items are done, you can log in and actually select your room. And when you go to click on assign, it's going to take you to a page that's going to tell you what your current application status is. And so you'll be able to see if you were missing anything before you can actually even try to get past that step.
Great. And so we have some questions from the audience that we're going to get to in just a minute. I want to wrap up a couple of these room selection questions, though, that I have here. When does room selection end, and can you still select a room after that deadline?
Sure. It actually ends in 21 days. It ends at midnight on, I guess, depending on how you look at it, 11:59 p.m. on June 30th. Yep. It will shut down. So if you try to log in after that time, even if it's 11:59 and 1 second, it won't let you log in again to try and do your self-assignment. However, all hope is not lost. What you'll need to do is, if you still need an assignment after that date, All you'll need to do is update your preferences on your housing application. There will be preference information available beginning, I believe, the week before room selection ends. You can go in, update your application. That'll tell us that you're still interested in housing, and we'll do the best we can. But please note that the preferences will include everything that we offer on campus, but doesn't mean that's what's available. And so it's really important to note that if you put, I want a super single in, or I want a suite single in Summit, I want a suite single in Pinnacle, I want a suite single in Horizon, so on and so forth, I can pretty much tell you that by that time we won't have any. And so if you give us 3 suite single options, we can't do much with that. Mm-hmm. So try to be realistic and look at try to have a fallback. So if you're going to request a suite single, you don't have to request one in every building. If we can find you a suite single, we'll find you a suite single. If you want to request an apartment, feel free to request an apartment. I don't think we'll have any at that point because they go pretty quickly. We do a cancellation and that thing's snapped up in a matter of minutes. But you can put in your request, but also be prepared to have a fallback.
Right. And if you're just now joining us, we're talking about what would happen after June 30th, the deadline to select your room. So currently room selection is open where if you have all of your steps to live on campus completed, you would go in and select your room yourself based on what's available. So Nia is just joining us. Thank you so much, Nia, for joining us. And Nia came here to hear about the new rooms becoming available soon, but didn't hear. So Dave, for those that are just joining us, can you go over again when we should expect to see some new spaces available for selection?
The new spaces will open up on Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So you'll also all receive an email indicating that information as well, and we'll try to provide an idea of what kind of rooms will be available. But I know that suites in Poplar, Endeavor, some apartment doubles in Kosov, apartment singles maybe in Holly or Magnolia or a Cypress if you're a transfer or a continuing student. We're looking to open up some of those. Possibly a super single or 2 in Maple, and some additional suites probably in the Village will open up as well. And so you'll see quite a variety open up on Friday. And that's really just our first that's the first time we're going to open up more beds. And then next week is our deadline for our campus partners. And so we hope to open up even more additional beds come Friday the following week, which would be the 18th.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that, Dave, or just point out that if you go Friday at 4 o'clock and someone takes the room or you don't see the room that you're looking for, that's not the last chance to get what you're looking for. Over the next few weeks, there will be more beds released, and an email will always accompany that. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but we'll always let you know when new beds are coming.
Yeah, so you definitely want to make sure you're checking your USF email account because it's getting more and more critical as you get closer to coming back for the fall or coming for the fall. The official channel for USF is the USF email account. So you do want to make sure you've added that to your phone. And if you check email on your phone or you're checking on your computer every day.
Absolutely. And so a specific question from Maria, whose daughter has a corner room in Juniper. Does that mean 2 sets of windows and less wall space? They cannot find the floor plan, so they're wondering what that looks like.
There should only be 1 window, to my knowledge, in that room. But what it really means is you're not sharing the bathroom with another bedroom. So it's a highly sought after space in Juniper and Poplar, and kudos to your daughter for getting it. But to my knowledge, it does not lose any wall space. It only has that 1 window at the end of the room. So if you look at the Juniper floor plan, essentially it's got a longer hallway to get to the room, and the room itself should, I believe, be the same size as any other Juniper room on the floor. But it's just a little bit different orientation when you're walking into the room and the bathroom's right there next to the door when you walk in.
Right, and like you pointed out, instead of 2 people to one room and then 2 people to one room with the connecting bathroom, it's just the 2 people in the room with the bathroom. So
Right.
less people using the bathroom, more sought after. So congratulations, Maria, to your daughter, as Dave said.
Yeah.
And so the next question we have is from Kaya, asking, when can spring term students apply for housing? That's a great question.
It is. Boy, I went over that in orientation today with the families. Spring applications should open beginning September 1st.
Great. And then that room selection process, do we have any information about that or what it typically runs through?
Boy, we won't start that process till probably the week of Thanksgiving, possibly. And the reason we do that is because we're trying to figure out if we're really lucky, we're going to be full this fall. But we always have about 500 people that come and go between fall and spring, or we typically do, because people graduate. People unfortunately don't do well enough to stay. People get homesick and want to transfer back to wherever they're from. There are a variety of different reasons why people leave between fall and spring, but we try to collect that data before we start offering out rooms. And so that's why we started so late. And I know it makes a lot of people nervous to have to wait that long to find out where they're going to live in the spring. But there's very little we can do to not have to wait that long.
Okay, so September 1st, application opens, and then mid-November is when you'll get your room and be able to select that.
Yeah.
And Nia has another question. Are there any buildings that transfer students do not have access to?
There should not be any building that they do not have access to. The only exception I might add at this point would be Juniper, but we've already opened up rooms in Juniper for general population. So it's not just for an LLC. And so the 2 LLCs in that building did not fill. And so they've already offered up 3 pods. So transfers have an option for there as well. And so there should not be a building that a transfer can't enter an assignment for. First-year students, on the other hand, are incoming, what we can traditionally call a freshman, or we are first time in college. They are not eligible to select Cypress Apartments C or D. Those are for what we call our non-FTICs, or transfers, our upper level students who have been here for at least a semester, and the summer doesn't count for those who are starting in the summer. So they would be here from spring forward. They are eligible for those 2 apartment buildings.
Got it. Okay, so we have gotten through most of the audience questions. The next one that I have left is about move-in. So we're going to talk a little bit about move-in now because that's next on my list. What's the earliest that students can move in for the fall semester? I know not all of this information is solidified yet, but do you want to go over at least what to expect when it comes to move-in and the dates as of right now?
Sure. The typical fall start date is Thursday before classes begin. So in this case, it would be Thursday the 19th of August. For those who have a need to arrive early because they're part of a program that needs to start on, let's say, Monday, we allow for what we call early arrivals to begin arriving on the 15th of August, which is a Sunday before what we call grand opening. A lot of this is still up in the air. We're still trying to examine, but I know that the 15th would be the earliest unless you have a particular program. Let's say some of our athletes come in even earlier than that because their practice has begun. But I haven't received any of those requests yet from athletics. But for the general student, it would be the earliest they could arrive would be the 15th of August. But make sure that before you make your travel plans, make sure you've gotten permission to arrive that early, or otherwise you may not be able to actually check in until the 19th or whatever day we begin the full fall check-in.
Right. So to clarify, the 15th, that Sunday before, in order to participate in early arrival, you can't, it's not filling out a form and getting selected for it. You need to be a part of a special population or group that has approved you and the whole group for early arrival. So if you're general population, you would not be arriving at that time.
But you still have a form that you have to complete.
Right. Okay. So if you are in an approved group, you fill out the form and then you could potentially arrive early.
Right.
But it's not based on preference. It's based on the
correct.
On the group.
Obviously, if you feel you have extenuating circumstances, you can always reach out to our office and talk to us about that. But for the most part, we are looking for people who have a need to be there, and I feel like it isn't necessarily a need.
Right. So, but to that point on the earliest and the dates that are going to be available, we are looking at least a 2-day move-in process so that we can stagger people out and have a smoother move-in process for everyone. And that information we are working on right now, releasing hopefully in the next week and a half. By the end of next week, I'm hoping to get the move-in webpage at least.
I thought it was 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now.
The 25th-ish?
That's the deadline that it will be up by then. I'm hoping to get it up sooner, but a lot of moving pieces, as you can imagine, as things change. COVID-19 protocol changes too, so a lot of decisions being made. So thank you everyone for your patience while we do solidify that and get that information available for you.
And our target for opening up the request process for selecting a date and time to move in right now is June 28th, which is the first day of Summer B.
Right.
So there's no confusion of which one they're going to fill out, the summer or the fall.
Right. And speaking of Summer B, we do have those move-in details up on the website, and the form for your arrival, your move-in slot was just launched today, yes. Correct?
Yep, it was launched this morning. It will begin with a request to review the evacuation plans that you had indicated on your housing application. And so we do ask that all of our students review that information. Obviously, we just entered hurricane season officially in Florida. And if it's anything like it was last year, it could be a lot of fun. We went way past the alphabet last year. But luckily, and knock on wood, Tampa has not been a target in all the years that I've lived here.
Oh my goodness, Dave, knock on wood.
But we want to be prepared. And so that's why we ask that information. And we understand that information could change at any time, but we'd like to have an idea of what our students' plans will be, because of course, if you can't evacuate, we'll take you to a shelter, but the shelters aren't going to be the most fun. I know your families would much rather have you with them than staying with us in a shelter. And so definitely have your plans in place, because it could be an active year, or it could be a normal year where we wave at them as they go by us in the Gulf, but They don't come near us.
That's what you'll hear during hurricane season over and over by everyone, is have a plan and document it. So we have the evacuation plan that they'll fill out, and then be able to sign up for that move-in time slot for Summer B, which is June 25th, correct? That Friday for arrival.
Yes.
Great. And a great question from a viewer, Sladana, asking, can we visit campus before choosing a room? And we actually recently launched housing tours. The marketing office has worked very hard on getting those back up and running. So we are now, it's sign up only in limited capacity. So if you go on our website, I'm trying to remember the tab that it's under. I do think it's either About Us, or if you just look at the different tabs, you'll see housing tours under one of them. And you'll go and you can complete a form, and you and one guest can attend, the student and one guest. We go to a Castor traditional style, a Maple Suite style, a Holly apartment style, and a Pinnacle traditional style. So it's really nice spread out through campus, and you can see all of those different styles, which pretty much represent all of the different options that are available on campus. So definitely check that out. Dave, I can see you checking to see what tab it's under, hopefully.
Residential experience.
Residential experience. That makes sense. So if you go to our website, usf.edu/housing, go to residential experience, housing tours, there's a link right there to select what date you'd like to come. So those are up and running as of a couple weeks ago, and they're going great. So thank you for the questions, LaDonna. And next, the last thing I have to talk about, Dave, with you is LLCs, which for those that don't know, stands for Living Learning Communities. That application closes on June 15th. So what does someone need to do to apply to be in an LLC?
Sure. Well, we have availability in many of our LLCs. Some of them, they all require an additional application on top of the housing application. So if you've submitted an ACE housing application or the regular student housing application, you can go in and complete a living learning application, living learning community application. Some of them are major based, some of them are interest based. I do know that engineering and I think Stonewall actually have wait lists at this point, which is a first for both of those, and we're very proud of the work that those two programs have done to fill their programs this year. But you complete the application. You can complete more than one LLC application. Some of them may not let you complete them. If you're not an honors student, you can't apply for the honors LLC. If you're not a public health student, you can't apply for the public health LLC. If you're not a nursing student, or I should say pre-nursing student, you can't apply for the nursing LLC. But there are, I think there are 11 LLCs right now. There's one for education. I think they have spots available. ROTC, obviously you'd need to be in the ROTC to qualify, but we don't have that information handy, so nothing will block you if you apply for it until they determine, wait, you're not in the ROTC, so you can't live here. And then so on and so on. But definitely go to the housing portal under the Living Learning Communities link or menu item. You'll see all 11 LLCs listed, and you can submit a application for one of them. You do want to do it quickly because if they don't have you there on the 15th, you're not going to be able to apply, and then you won't be eligible for any of those rooms. All the LLCs I think now are in suite style rooms, and so if that's a kind of room you're interested in and one of those programs you think works for you, certainly go ahead and apply, and hopefully you'll get in.
That's a great point, Dave. So if you're just joining us and are not sure what an LLC is, the Living Learning Community, that's a group of students that are in a community that are in the same residential community, usually the same floor or the same pod in Juniper or Poplar, and they participate in different events together, different mentorships, community partnerships, really great opportunity to meet people with the same similar interest or major and live in that community as well. And so that's a great point too. If you're interested in a suite style and you can't find the suite style you want, happen to see an LLC that offers spaces in that style and works well for you, you can apply for the Living Learning Community, live in it, and have the spot that you want too. So that's always a good option.
And an LLC can give you a great head start on your career.
Absolutely.
They hook you up with a lot of local leaders in those fields, and it can be a great assistance for you. Even though you may be a first-year student right now, it can never hurt to get maybe on an internship later on in your time here at USF, and that's a great way to start.
And we did an entire episode all about living learning communities. So if you do go to our YouTube page and check out past episodes, you can go and watch that. You can also go to our living learning community website and watch videos on each one to learn a little bit more about them and where you would be living if you were a part of that community. So a question about if you already have selected a room and you're watching tonight and you say, wow, that sounds perfect for me, I'd really like to do that. Is it still an option for someone who already has their space on campus?
Yeah, definitely. And what the nice part is, it puts you into a program that's going to help you, and it opens up your room to help somebody else. You can certainly apply for an LLC even though you've already selected a room. And a matter of fact, one of the questions on there will be, I understand that if I'm admitted to this LLC and I've already selected a room, you'll move me to the LLC. And you're already giving permission for them to do that.
Great. Yeah, so if you're not aware, if you're in an LLC, you get assigned to a room rather than selecting, unless you're in the honors college program.
Correct.
The honors LLC. And then that you do participate in room selection. All right. Well, Dave, we have gotten through all of the questions that I wanted to go over tonight with you and all the questions from the audience. So is there anything that we haven't covered that we should touch on before we call it a night?
There actually is one item. A lot of our students have applied for Summer B, but they may not have applied for Fall yet. So if you're one of those students who's only applied for Summer B because you're starting in the summer and you didn't realize you also would need to apply for Fall and Spring, make sure you check. And if you need housing for Fall and Spring on campus, you got to make sure you do that application. We will be trying to review the two sets of applications to see if anybody falls into that category and notify them, hey, you didn't apply for Fall yet. Do you still need housing for Fall like you did for summer? And so we'll notify you of that as well, but we want to make sure that you're looking into that as well as on your own.
Yeah, that's a great point. If you'd maybe not realize that they're two separate applications, super important to get both in. Good point. All right.
Otherwise, we're excited to have so many people come back to campus. We're excited to open up. We hope that we're going to be as close to normal as we'll ever have again. And so we're really looking forward to having a great year here at USF this fall and summer.
Absolutely. Very, very excited. Well, thank you again, Dave, so much for taking the time to chat with us this evening.
Anytime.
All right. Have a great night.
You too.
So if you have any more questions about living on campus at USF, you can email us at housing@usf.edu or call us at 813-974-0001. And be sure to join us for our next episode on Wednesday, June 23rd at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we'll be covering frequently asked questions with Student Health Services at USF. You can watch on our Facebook or YouTube page, the USF Class of 2025 Facebook group, or the USF Parent and Family Engagement Facebook page. USF Housing Live is produced by Housing and Residential Education at the University of South Florida in Tampa. Our motto is best place to live, best place to work, best place to learn. Thank you to tonight's guests for joining me this evening. Thank you to our production crew, to you, our viewers, and of course, there's always just one last thing. Go Bulls. Good night, everyone.